First of all, I want to know what was it like releasing an album with all of the COVID stuff going on and stuff, and how it's different from previous releases you've done?
I mean, it's definitely the first time we've ever experienced anything like this, just like, everyone else around the world. This is unprecedented. So, when it started to become apparent that this was going to affect our touring plans and the release of the record, we had to start kind of trying to get more creative with how we were going to promote a record while not being able to travel and do the normal things we do. It's definitely less than ideal to be able to not tour, but I think we felt very confident in the album and that, when people heard it, that they would be stoked on it and the word of mouth would help, spread the message better than anything else. So we wanted to push forward with the release and not delay it at all. We kind of lucked out because a lot of our vinyl and merch stuff was already printed, so we didn't have to worry about that. The main concern was people being able to go to a record store and stuff, but we were willing to sacrifice a little bit on the first week sales to just get the music out so that people could stream it and listen to it. And I think people have appreciated that, and we're very stoked, to be able to see the fan reaction. It's been awesome.
Was the reaction to the album, was that something you guys were expecting, or is it kind of taken you by surprise a bit?
I mean, it's always kind of hard to tell. I felt like when we were making it that, if people were into the last record, that they would like what we were doing with this one. I didn't know if, it's impossible to, know you're going to top the last record in people's opinions. And, I've definitely been very surprised that a lot of people right out of the gate, were already this is one of your best albums, and comparing it to some of our others in the past. I think the Sin in the Sentence had a really great reception, and this one seemed to, from what I've seen, it seems to have exceeded people's expectations from the last record. So, I feel very proud that we were able to kind of get in there and sort of improve upon something that was already well received. I think that's kind of sometimes the hardest thing, because when you go into a record and maybe the record before it wasn't as well received, it's kind of easier to make a big impression with something new. But when something's come before it that's already well received, you're kind of where do you go from here? How do you top that? So it's been great to see, and can't wait to play it live. That'll be the next step whenever that happens.
Yeah, well, yeah, because you talk about people having high expectations, and 'cause you came off your last album that had a Grammy nominee, so that was your first nominee as well, nomination. So yeah, do you have other goals and stuff for the album?
Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, I guess with a lot of stuff getting pushed back, I really don't know how the Grammy stuff is going to work this year. I mean, that was such a shock to us to even get nominated that, I don't know. To me, I'm if we never get nominated again, I'm happy that we did once and we could say that we were a Grammy nominee. But, when you're writing it, you're trying to really, for me, the main goal is to kind of outdo ourselves and to surprise people with the music and, the accolades and the great reviews. I'm of course, you'd love to get as many as you can and you want things to be as positive as possible. But in the making of it, you're just so focused in on the music itself and is the song working? Are we writing the best lyrics and hooks? And you kind of tune a lot of that stuff out. And then once it's done, then you start to think okay, well, how are people going to receive this? And what's going to happen once it's out? And it's always exciting. I'm always nervous, the coming up to the release, because you never know how people are going to respond to music. People's tastes change over time. So I'm always very thankful that our fans are just so diehard about what we do.
And it's pretty easy to be diehard because your band has so much interaction with the fans just constantly, whether that's, especially now when you've got all your YouTube streams as well, Q&As and that, and then Matt, who's got his own Twitch account as well, who pretty much you can essentially just ask him anything you want really and he'll be able to answer it.
Yeah, I think we've kind of taken that to a whole new level, and it kind of suits us because I feel we've always been very interactive. I think just the technology now has made it even more so, and I guess the kind of the trade-off is you maybe have less of a mystique as a band by being so open. But on the other hand, we're pretty tight-lipped when it comes to making records now. So like that's like really the one area where we kind of keep secret, and then the rest of it's kind of like interacting with fans. And now, especially because we can't tour, we have to kind of think about other events online that we can do. Like tomorrow, we're going to do a Q&A with Josh Wilbur, our producer, and I'm excited because a lot of people maybe don't know Josh or haven't really seeked out like interviews and stuff with him. So it'll be really cool to kind of talk about his history as a producer, talk about making this record and the last record, and him mixing Silence in the Snow, and just kind of like pick his brain a bit about the production side of things. It's very interesting. I think our fans are really into that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and it's cool to see with this album that Josh had came back to produce it, because most people have a different producer for each album, so it shows you really had chemistry with him.
Yeah, I mean he's the perfect fit. I think we've already pretty much committed to having him come back to the next one, so it's working well, and we all get along and have a great time making these. I can't really complain about anything. It's like almost so good that it's like it seems like, oh, this isn't even like working. We're just having fun here, and it's really led to some of our best stuff, I think.
Yeah. How long have you been writing the this record for?
Well, we started kind of making riffs and demos like well over a year ago, maybe even 2 years. But when we started really kind of coming together and rehearsing new stuff, it was about March of last year. And we did like 3 writing sessions. Like in between one of them, we went over and toured in Europe. We did festivals, and then we continued. And then October of last year, we went into Full Sail in Orlando, and we recorded all of the tracks except for the drums. And then we did the drums in LA at 606 Studio, the Foo Fighters studio.
The iconic.
Yeah, it was really cool. I mean, we got to use that really famous board that's from the documentary. Dave Grohl bought that board that's pretty much like every single band ever is recorded on. I mean, they recorded Nirvana's Nevermind on it. So it was really cool to see it in person. And then, of course, hear Alex's drums coming through the speakers, like running through this like holy grail of music history. And it was cool to kind of have a little bit of our band kind of running through there. Yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah, something I quickly wanted to touch on as well. I talked about Matt having his own Twitch account. Obviously, you had a couple songs in the Mortal Kombat 11 trailer. Is the band like a big gamers and stuff then?
Yeah, I would say like the whole band is into it. Of course, Matt with the Twitch thing, he's been able to kind of incorporate that into his stuff. And Alex has a Twitch as well, so he's been really kind of doing the same thing, kind of blend of music and gaming. And Corey doesn't have a Twitch, but he is a big, NBA Madden type sports gamer, And for me, like I've actually tomorrow I'm getting in my new Xbox, so I'm gonna be getting back into it. When I was a kid, I was like really, really into games, and of course, when I was very young, like arcades were still big. So my first formative years of gaming was like, playing Mortal Kombat in the arcades, putting the quarters up on the ledge to kind of challenge the next person, like to say you got the next game. So that was a big part of my childhood before I got into music.
Yeah. Do you personally have like a dream game series that you'd love some of your music to be on?
I mean, getting it on to Mortal Kombat was definitely kind of one of those things. And also because the character was Spawn, that was kind of like doubly crazy because I was really into Spawn as a kid. And to have the character Spawn and in the game Mortal Kombat and to be in the trailer, I mean, kind of ticked off 2 boxes for me. I mean, I would love to be part of any game. I was thinking it'd be cool. Everyone's playing in Fortnite. I'd like to play a show in Call of Duty, maybe, have people protect the show. That could be the whole pitch for it. You have to keep the show going, save the band.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen recently, but Fortnite had this big Travis Scott concert.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. I mean, it's definitely, I think it's really impressive. They've been incorporating it and people seem to like it. I think it'll be interesting to see where it goes in the coming years. I do think, obviously this is a really bad situation for touring, but it's definitely making not only bands, but different entertainment and media have to get creative with how you kind of keep things rolling when it's not able to go out on tour physically. And, maybe I hope that at least coming out of this, there'll be some new ideas that have been figured out, because they had to be. Sometimes it takes those crises to create something you wouldn't have ever thought of. And, if there's anything positive, I do hope something comes out of it to where, like, maybe bands doing more interactive stuff, streaming stuff becomes a part of, like, what we do, not just touring. I don't think it's going to make up for touring, but I do think it could be a part of what bands are going to be doing a lot more of going forward. And, if you're a younger band and, getting things together, start thinking about how you can pitch yourself that way and get yourself out there.